And welcome into the Sporting Lounge. Thank you so much for joining us. As always, we have your gracious host, me, myself, and I, along with Travis, and of course, Austin, one of the mainstay hosts here. So thank you so much for picking up the slack where we slept at. So today, we've got some exciting news. It is NFL playoffs. But most importantly, first and foremost, just because Austin's a hater, Travis, congratulations. Michigan is a national champion.
Yes, it's been a long time coming.
How was those Go Dogs, huh? You kept saying Go Dogs. Not once did they lead.
We want Georgia in an extra game.
Oh, yeah, I want Georgia now, just because they thought they could beat us. No one in the nation could beat us. We were the most complete team. I wasn't afraid of Texas, wasn't afraid of Washington, wasn't afraid of Alabama. When they're like, oh, Michigan's shaking from Alabama. No.
I did see something that someone said that made a post about Michigan was the best this is the best championship team ever, and I was like, no. And people were someone said that the 2019 LSU team would beat us 65-3. And
I don't know about 65-3, but I think they'd win.
I think LSU, like, everyone kept saying that they'd win by like 3+ scores, and I don't think that's true. And my reasoning for that is this: Michigan runs a very pro style defense, like the Ravens do. And NFL teams have a hard time dealing with that. And we held not a single opponent. We're the first team in college football history to hold every single opponent under 25 points. And we run the ball very well. Is LSU going to get theirs a little bit? Sure. But LSU, that 2019 LSU team also gave 30 or more points up against every single team they played. Honestly, if they didn't score, if they didn't score 50 points a game, they wouldn't have won the chip.
But that's the thing, is their offense was so dominant, it didn't matter about defense. And sometimes that's the way it goes. Sometimes your defense is so dominant, it doesn't really matter about offense.
I would say that game, like, if that game theoretically ever happened, LSU probably would win, but it's not going to be a 3-score game. It'd probably be like 35-24, 25, in my opinion.
Well, it's been a nice little 10-point win, I bet.
Yeah.
Easy win for Joe Burrow.
10.
Easy win for Joe Burrow.
Long time coming. I can die at peace now.
Yeah, we've waited our whole life for them to win a national championship. Hey, when's State going to win a football national championship?
Probably never.
Okay, just making sure we know that.
And I can live with that as long as Michigan never wins one, or it goes 20-some years each time. Then I could survive.
I will rather go 20-some years in between championships than never win one. Because I can at least say, hey, once every 20 years, we're the best team.
Not exactly something to brag about.
It's better than never. Like,
it's equally as bad.
I don't know. I don't think so.
Equally as bad.
I think Michigan State has won a national championship. It was just either in like the 50s or the 70s. I can't remember.
Yeah, I guess if they've won one, congrats to them. So we are going to talk a little bit about the NFL. We're going to do a little bit of the betting line so you guys can see how they do also. As you guys know, I've been mostly positive on them. So this is the playoffs. So Cleveland Browns, Texans, Dolphins versus Chiefs, Steelers versus Bills, Packers against Cowboys, Rams against Lions, Eagles against Bucks. Is there any particular game you guys want to start with?
Also, hold on. I want to go back to Travis's statement of 25 points a game or under, right? Is that what you said?
Yeah. Yeah, that this year.
Yeah. Michigan. Where'd you get that from? Because the list I found is
I think it might have been in the modern era, I think.
Well, what's the modern era? What do we count as modern era?
Depending on who you ask, 1970 till now or 1973 till now.
Because the list I found has a lot more teams.
Are they teams that won the national championship, though? That might have been.
That could be the difference.
I was going to say, that might have been the
caveat Georgia Bulldogs I forgot to mention. 2 years ago, 2021.
They held everyone under 25.
Not true. Ohio State scored 40 on them.
Yep.
Yeah, Ohio State scored 40.
Georgia averaged 10.4 points per game.
Yeah, no. We're talking about literally not a single team scored over 25.
2011
Maryland got 24,
Alabama.
Ohio State got 24, Alabama got 20. Those were the highest teams scored against us. Not average points per game.
Alabama got
the average points per game were only the 5th best in the last 23 years.
Yeah.
We're the 5th
He's talking about literally having no one score.
5th best against shit teams. That's so good. Okay, anyways, Ben, continue.
So no one scored more than 24 against us, which honestly is really amazing. So is there any particular NFL game that we want to start on this weekend that you guys are like really hyped for, that you're excited for, and I can tell you the lines?
Start with Saturdays.
Okay, Saturday games. We've got Cleveland Browns against the Houston Texans. Cleveland -2. So they think basically for you to hit the money, Cleveland has to win by a field goal. With this, the over-under is 44.5. I stopped doing over-unders because I suck at them. Because the Raiders just said, fuck it, we're going to score 63 with Aiden O'Connell. So I was like, okay, well, there goes my under. Like, when any NFL team can go for 63 with a backup QB, I'm done with over-unders. It'll be exciting to hear what you guys say. But I'm always going to smack the over now, just to play the safe. So I'm going to
today's age, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to choose the over. But this one's actually tough because CJ Stroud's getting in his groove. Joe Flacco looks mean. And if he makes a playoff run, like, imagine that. Like, they're a very well-rounded team.
Could you imagine Flacco goes through and then knocks off his old Ravens team on his way to the Super Bowl?
Right, on his way to a Super Bowl? Like, tell me that's not the NFL script writers giving him a goodbye. You know what I mean?
We would have to start having a very awkward conversation if this happened about Joe Flacco being a top
Hall
20
of Famer.
QB. Not just a Hall of Famer, but a top 20 QB ever.
Yeah. So Austin wants the Texans +3. Are you taking the over or under?
I'm taking the Texans money line.
Just money line straight up.
I don't really care about betting. Texans winning it.
Okay.
And they're going into probably Kansas City, playing Kansas City. At Arrowhead, beating Kansas City.
You're saying Texans beat both the Browns and the Chiefs?
Yeah, because I think the Chiefs probably beat the Dolphins. The Dolphins are playing like ass.
The Dolphins just lost half of their starting defense to injured reserve, so yeah, I can see that happening. The Dolphins are going to have to drop 35 points every single game to win this postseason because their defense is done.
Because the Ravens are going to play the lowest seed, so it's possible the Steelers beat the Bills. Wouldn't be surprised.
That is
very possible. Lordy. Okay,
the way the Bills are playing, I expect the Bills to beat the Steelers, but the Steelers defense is good enough and Josh Allen is turnover prone enough sometimes where I wouldn't be surprised if
I'd be more confident. I'd be more confident in that statement if TJ Watt was playing.
That's true.
But anyways, back to the Texans and Browns. I fully expect the Texans to win by 10.
Oh. I'm leaning towards the Browns, but I'm not confident.
I would take the spread for the Browns. I think the Browns win by 7.
So you're taking Browns -2. I'll take Browns -2 as well.
Flacco's playing well, and Houston's playing without Tank Dell. And Cleveland has the two graded. Cleveland's 2 starting cornerbacks are the 2 highest graded PFF corners in the league. They have the best grades for press coverage, man, and like across the board. I think the only other person that like sneaks in there when you break it down between zone press coverage and man coverage is Javarius Ward from the 49ers sneaks when you break it down all the way.
I mean, that's fine. They got Dalton Schultz underneath.
I mean, I'm not saying they're not
And then they got Brandon Cooks.
But Brandon Cooks plays for the Cowboys.
It depends on is Denzel Ward fully healthy? Is he going to come play? And Juwan Thornhill, because that's a lot for the Browns secondary. So that's why I might go with Austin and take the Texans +2 because the Cleveland Browns secondary is banged up, and CJ Stroud does seem like he has a dog in him.
If Stroud can
even though they lost,
be mobile and avoid pressure, then if Stroud can extend plays with his legs that normally the Cleveland defense would turn into sacks or turnovers, then Houston will probably win. But if that D-line gets to Stroud, then it's over.
Robert Woods is nothing.
They still got Robert Woods and Noah Brown. You know, I'm confident in the receiving corps.
Stop it.
Bobby Trees.
I'm confident enough.
I'm going to stick with Cleveland -2. I'm going to stick with that. Now for the next one, I'm. You're right. The Miami defense has taken a lot of hits, and it is hard to bet against Mahomes. But man, when you got so many playmakers on the offensive side, the Dolphins can just take any slant for 80 yards and be gone. And they can do it more than once. And we can't say the Chiefs' defense has been great by any means this year.
No,
they're not bad. They're not bad.
The Chiefs' defense has been ranked top 5 all season.
But do we see a repeat of Week 9 when they played already and won by 7? The Chiefs won by 7, 21-14.
I don't know if either team was fully healthy then, because I think
they're healthier. They're healthier than they were now. The Dolphins, at least.
I just not saying that the Miami isn't capable of beating the Chiefs. I just, with how banged up their defense is, they're gonna be like, we saw what their offense could do, but it's as opposed to what they can do, as opposed to what they're going to have to do game in and game out. Now with the state of their defense, I don't have confidence in that.
Yeah, their two of their best linebackers in Bradley Chubb and Andrew Van Ginkel.
Xavier Howard's gone too.
He's down. Jalen Phillips is down as the wide receiver, though he wasn't.
They have like 7 starters out
on the weak side. Keon Crossan,
and if there's ever been an on paper coming in situation for a get right game for Kelsey, it's right now.
And then Xavier Howard, Deshaun Elliott, and Javon Holland are all questionable for the game. 2 of their starting safeties, and then their left corner.
Not saying it can't happen, but they're gonna have to score 30 plus.
Jalen Waddle and Raheem Mostert are also questionable for the game.
And Tyreek's not really been Tyreek the last 4 or 5 weeks.
Howard is officially out. And then Raheem Mostert, Xavier Howard's officially out.
I just think Miami is the Philadelphia Eagles of the AFC. They're limping into the postseason.
I think the Chiefs are the Eagles of the AFC because Here, let's go over. So,
I think the more apt description is, why can't I need to look at the.
That being said, though, the AFC is wide open in my eyes.
In my opinion,
like, don't get me wrong, Baltimore's looked good, but it's the playoffs any given Sunday, and like there's other elite defenses in the AFC.
I mean, looking at their last couple games, they beat the Raiders by a good amount. They lost to the Packers. They lost to the Bills. They beat the Patriots by 10. That's it, by 10. They lost to the Raiders. They beat the Bengals, a beat-up Bengals, not a healthy Bengals, by 8, and only 8. They beat the Chargers, a beat-up Chargers, by 1. Now, granted, they also didn't play everyone because they also knew they made the playoffs. They weren't getting the number 1 seed, so they ran out Blaine Gabbert. So You're correct. You're correct in that one. But I
just see this as the perfect spot for a get-right game for Kelsey, and I think he's going to torch that Miami defense.
Ben, now, if you said the Chiefs were like last year's Vikings, I would have agreed with you.
Yeah,
okay. I think that's a more apt description.
And I could see that, and hence why I don't want to bet against, or I don't want to go for them, knowing the Dolphins could take any play, but knowing that they are banged up and they are in a little bit of situation.
Also, at the same time, could just be like football,
right? Because I mean, this is their last couple games. They beat the Commanders by a lot. They lost to the Titans by 1. They beat the Jets by a lot. They beat the Cowboys by 2. They got stomped by the Ravens. I mean, 56-19.
To be fair, every
bad
elite team that played the Ravens got stomped this year.
Yep. They lost to the Bills by a touchdown. So, like, they've also had this, like, at the very end, you know what I mean? So, it's either way, it's a get-right game for either team. And right now, the odds are Chiefs minus 4.5. So, Vegas thinks the Chiefs are going to win by at least 5. But I don't have that much confidence. Over-under is 43 points. How do they think the over-under for this is 43, yet the Browns and Texans are 44.5? What?
Yeah, those are two better defenses. I mean,
right? Flip those over under
unless they just assume that Miami's going to score 30. And then or if they're taking into account that Miami's missing 70% of their starting defense.
I think I'm going to take the Chiefs minus 4.5. I think I'm going to agree with Austin. I think it will be the Chiefs that move on to the next round.
I think the Chiefs win, but I don't feel comfortable taking the over.
The 4.5?
The 4.5.
So you're going to take Miami
I can see it coming
plus
down
4.
I can see this being a shootout of two teams that are going to lose. Whoever wins this game is going to lose the following week.
It depends. It depends, right? Because the lower seed,
the lowest seed,
Ravens.
Yep. Whoever plays the Ravens. So then that leads us into the Sunday games. Steelers plus 9.5, Buffalo Bills minus 9.5, over under 35.5. So they think this is a really low scoring game. I'm going to smack the over again. On all of these, I just do all the overs because so far it's stupid. I'm going Bills minus 10.
Backtrack real quick because there's one thing we didn't take into consideration for the Chiefs-Miami game. I'm taking the under in that score by a lot.
Why?
It's supposed to be the coldest game in NFL history.
You think that's going to stop them from fucking scoring?
You have two of the hardest throwing quarterbacks in the league throwing you the ball, and they're the teams with the most drop passes already. That's going to affect it a lot. It's going to be windy. There's going to be like 30. There's going to be like 30-mile-an-hour winds, dude. The weather is not pretty.
Their last game, they hit the over, or no, it's 43, right? You said, Ben?
Yeah, 43.
Okay, right now, like it's projected 1 degree, which isn't the coldest game in NFL history, but it's supposed to be cold and messed up, and these are two teams that neither are used to playing in cold temperatures.
I could see the over.
I can see it, but
I'm going to say the over. And apparently Dolphins are ranked number 1 in offense, 10th in defense, 1st in passing, 6th in rushing. Chiefs are ranked 9th in offense, 2nd in defense, 6th in passing, 19th in rushing. I am highly surprised that they're 2nd in defense. That's awesome for them. But I'm going Chiefs, and then I'm going Bills easily. Bills minus 9.5. You guys can hate me all you want, but
no TJ Watt, and the fact that there's no one consistently a danger on that offense for the Steelers, I just don't think they can hang. TJ Watt plays, gives them an outside chance, but
I mean, Steelers. The one thing Steelers do have though is depth.
They do, and
which is nice.
And they're one. And so I don't think home field advantage is really home field advantage in this matchup because they're both they're with in 45 minutes. They both play within 45 minutes of each other. Weather's going to be the same for both of them. They're used to being outside,
Yeah, and plus the Bills are kind of the Bills in the playoffs. They're 0-5 in Super Bowls for a reason. They don't do good in playoffs for a reason.
I do want to address one thing. I will not tolerate any Josh Allen postseason slander. He has actually been
Josh Allen sucks.
He has the highest passer rating in QBR in postseason history. It's been his defense that has lost him those games every single time.
Well, it was a coin flip 1 year.
I was about to say, one would argue it's the coin flip.
So
it loses him the game.
So we're all.
Are you sure it wasn't his defense who gave up a touchdown in 13 seconds to force that overtime?
Yeah, that too. So we're all going Bills, right?
I feel like there's going to be an AFC upset. And this is the upset I'm feeling.
I would rather go with the Dolphins as being the upset. I feel like that's more realistic than the Steelers.
I think that's only an upset in terms of seeding, right? But I think they're too. I think Dolphins are the better team than the Chiefs overall. They just got some injuries.
Technically, Houston's the upset over the Browns, are they not?
Technically, I guess by seeding, sure.
They're higher seed, but. I think the upset is in terms of differential in team dynamic or team overall, right? I think it's the Steelers over the Bills.
Dude, the Steelers that's wild. 25th in offense, 21st in defense, 25th in passing, 13th in rushing. Now let's listen to the Bills. Fourth, ninth, eighth, seventh.
If the Steelers upset the Bills, the next podcast I'll drop and give you 25 on stream.
We have upsets. We have
no push-ups.
There's upsets every year in the playoffs.
There is,
yeah,
and there's always a team that's like the Steelers that makes it past the wild card.
He is not wrong.
You're not wrong, but I think
right.
But the Browns are that team this year, in my opinion.
I don't think so. I don't think the Browns,
and I don't think that the Browns beating Houston is like an upset or anything. They're the higher seed. But
when they beat the Ravens.
Yes, that's the upset I think the AFC needs to worry about. That's my upset for the AFC. I think the Ravens.
I'm going to go with my very first big upset. I'm going Packers +7. I think the Packers actually win this. You guys may call me crazy.
No, the way Jordan Love is playing right now, it's not out of the realm of possibility. But they are playing in Dallas. Dallas is a different team in Dallas. If there is a team that can go to Dallas and actually have the refs on their side, it's Green Bay.
I think Dallas wins this all day long.
I do too. I don't think it's a blowout like the way a lot of people might say, but I think Dallas still wins by 10.
I
31-21 Dallas. That's what
I think it's going to be like 34-28 type game.
I think it's a 3-point game till the last 3 minutes of Dallas.
I mean, technically, the last time they played, November 13th in 2022, Green Bay won. So I'm just saying. Packers won the last matchup.
Without Jordan Love.
Also correct. But it's not that I don't think I would not be surprised if Dallas wins. But we are used to, wild shit happening in the playoffs, as you were just saying, Austin. I think it's this game. I think it's going to be for no reason at all. Jordan Love comes out and plays great. The defense is mid for some reason, and the Packers win, and we're sitting here going, what the fuck, Dallas? How'd you choke again?
No, if Dallas chokes again, McCarthy's gone.
Oh, he should have been gone.
Dallas is a good one-round playoff team, right? If the Packers and Cowboys were for some reason meeting next round, I would agree with you.
No, Stephen A. Smith, I don't hate Stephen A. Smith. He does like to talk. He does like to just hear himself talk sometimes, but I do agree with him when he said this the other day. If Dallas loses to anyone in the playoffs besides the 49ers or in the Super Bowl, McCarthy's got to go.
Yeah. There's too much young, good talent there for them to not.
I'll accept the 49ers defeat or in the Super Bowl for them.
Right.
But including his stint in Green Bay, McCarthy is a choker.
Yeah, big time. And they need to see that quickly. Now,
I think it more be quarterback, but yeah.
Now, that's the highest over-under so far at 50.5. Again, I'm going to take the over.
I'm taking the over on that one.
I'm taking over on every single one.
On that one.
Now, Travis, this one's going to break your heart. Matthew Stafford comes to big old Detroit Lions field.
I think this is probably the most bet on upset. If there's like a most bet on upset for the playoffs, this is probably it.
Did you know they banned Stafford Lions jerseys? Saying it's not that we don't love him, it's just business. We're here to win the playoffs. Which I like.
Imagine
imagine
having to be like the guys checking in at the gate to check to whether or not it's a Stafford jersey or a Jameson Williams jersey. Having to check every single one.
Right.
But no, they did more than that. There's restaurants and like bars around Detroit that are banning people, that aren't allowing people in with Stafford jerseys on. And then at Ford Field as well, they did not give Kelly Stafford a suite. They're like hard, like fuck Stafford right now. Which, I mean, as far as like what our mission is to try and do right now, I'm on board with it. But you can't just like not. You got to show him some like respect when he comes in, but once that ball goes in the air for opening kickoff, then it's all off. It's all Lions. But give him some respect, man. The man broke his body for us for over a decade.
Okay, so
yeah, he definitely deserves something.
It's an unofficial ban.
It is. There's been a lot of stuff. I'm sure there's like certain people that'll probably try to enforce it, but
where it started, Ben, is a Instagram account that supports the Lions. Posted, please don't wear a Lions Stafford jersey to the game. This is not a time to be cute or funny. This is about business. This is about business and putting the final nail in the SOL coffin. It ain't personal, it's just business.
I'm not sure what they were saying on the SOL. Like, are they trying to go for shit out of luck coffin? Or Stafford on the Lions? It could be Stafford on Lions coffin.
And then that's when Kelly, Stafford's wife, said, well, this is sad because it's the complete opposite of how we feel about the city, but Matthew has always been the bigger person and will continue to be that. Praying for an incredible game with 0 injuries.
And that makes me want to choose the Rams +3, baby. But I'm not going to. Dan Campbell has a great coached up team. I'm going to take the Lions -3.
If there's ever a script This is the year the Lions win their playoff game.
Yeah.
It's just fitting because
This sucks that they have to get Stafford. Kick
Peyton
him
Manning,
out of the playoffs.
Peyton Manning did not go, and Jeff Daniels did not, end the curse of Bobby Lane for nothing. But this is it. It's gonna be a good game. It's gonna be a really good game.
It's gonna be a good one. It's 51.5. I'm taking the over. I see this one
this
getting
is gonna be a
high
shootout.
scoring.
This is gonna be a real big shootout.
We're gonna remember why we kept Stafford on the Lions for 10 plus years. We're gonna remember that arm and miss that arm compared to Goff. I guarantee it.
I'm taking the Rams.
You just say that. You just want to get a reaction out of me.
He's a hater.
He just wants to get a reaction out of me.
He's a hater.
I gotta take my Lions here. I have to.
Lions.
I'm taking the over. And
it's just the only Michigan team I support.
That's Michigan State.
That's pro is the Red Wings.
I can get behind that.
Yeah. Where are your Patriots in the playoffs?
Is that because
where are your Colts in the playoffs?
But okay, by a measurable of championships won, is that because they're the only team in Detroit that's been relevant for championships in the last 30 years? I mean,
the Red Wings.
The Pistons won one in the last 30 years, and Tigers have been to 3 World Series in the last 20 years, but the Red Wings are the only one that have sealed the deal.
Yeah. Last game.
I just don't have that much faith in the Lions.
And I don't blame you. I like this new regime. I like what they're doing. I like
35-31 Lions.
38-35 Lions.
35-28 Rams.
So we're all definitely betting the over. All of us think there's a high scoring one. Eagles -3 against the Bucks.
This is my pick for an upset, even though I don't know if anyone considered
it. Wait, hold on. Austin said what?
No, I'm just kidding. Give me the Eagles.
I was about to say, is he giving Baker some fucking credit finally?
No, I will never give Baker credit for any victory they have.
I'm going to say something wild. Bucks 28, Eagles 14.
All I'm going to say is the Eagles are 10-1 in wins in their games when they have big dude security guy on their sideline.
Then they're winless since he got kicked off the sideline. I don't know if people are intimidated by his presence. But
Baker was 9th in overall passing yards this year, just to let you know. So that's top 10. And then if we go by touchdowns,
he was top 10s in most metrics. Top 10 to 12.
7th overall in touchdowns. So 9th on passing yardage in the NFL out of all 32 teams. He was 9th in passing yards, and then 7th on touchdowns.
To be fair,
was I supposed to care?
Herbert, Burrow, Rodgers, all gone.
Herbert played 3,100 yards and 20 touchdowns.
Herbert has been on IR for the last 4 weeks.
Okay, so let's extrapolate these down and then add the added stats. It's still not as much. What's your point?
I'm just saying that, don't get me wrong, what Baker did this year is impressive, but him being 100% inside the top 10, he did have a little bit of help. But even if somehow no one gets hurt, he still probably would have finished top 12, 13, which is still good.
That's fine. I'll still never root for Baker. I pray for his downfall, quite literally.
Oh, he was 6th on over 20-yard passes. 6th in the NFL. For it to go over 20 yards and be completed, 6th. Just saying. Number 1, though, is Brock Purdy. Number 2 is Jared Goff.
See, what I do like is, I'm not saying this is an excuse because, that's your job. You're in the NFL, it's your job. Go do what you do. Baker does have a fucking cannon, and then it also helps when you have a cannon and then you have a wide receiver built like Mike Evans, a la Detroit, Matt Stafford, Calvin. Not saying Evans is as good as Calvin. He's his overall body of work in his career at this point is going to end up trumping Calvin's because he played longer. He's going to have more cumulative stats and he has that Super Bowl win, but better talent. Calvin is definitely if Calvin's Jordan, Mike Evans is Kobe in that thing. You know what I mean? If we're comparing them, obviously they're not the greatest of all time, just similarities.
He was 10th in completions. Anyways, I'm going to give Baker some love. I'm going to take I'm going to take the Eagles -3.
I think
I
the
made
Bucks,
all that argument to go Eagles -3.
I think the Bucks smack them.
I would not be surprised if the Bucks actually do win. I just think something in my head is saying, yes, the Eagles have had a very hard down trot. They have, I mean, their last several games have been atrocious.
The Eagles are going to be their championship window is closing fast. Yeah, they got Hurts, Smith, and AJ Brown, but their defense is old. Their offensive line is old. Like,
yeah, I mean, they're
outside of Jordan Davis and Nakobe Dean, like their defense is old.
See,
and
this is how I want to read out their November. They beat the Cowboys by 5. They beat the Chiefs by 4. They beat the Bills by 3. So, like, this is mid-football season. This is tough. And then they get smacked by the 49ers. They lose to the Cowboys. They get beat by the Seahawks. They beat the Giants. They lose to the Cardinals. They lose to the Giants. So, like, it was a very awful tumble.
The beginning
From
of
being
their,
so
the
good.
beginning of their tumble was a combination of that's when their O-line started getting hurt, and it was also the hardest part of their schedule. But I think, there's definitely some inside the locker room drama going on that team. Otherwise they don't lose to Arizona and the Giants. And
Yeah.
There is something going on in there, and whether it's the coaching staff, whether it's Hurts, whether it's AJ Brown, who fucking knows? But I don't like it. If I'm an Eagles fan, I'm not liking this. Limping into the playoffs. Limping into the playoffs is never a good sign for any team.
Yeah. And it's not exactly what you want to see, especially when you're about to face the Bucks, who are on a little bit more. Yeah, who's getting hot. But then again, Baker Mayfield and Tristan Wirfs did not practice on Thursday for the Bucks, so keep an eye on both those.
Baker will play.
Huge.
He was visibly banged up after the Carolina game, but he's
going to play.
He's just resting. That's
so.
All.
But I'm still going to take the Eagles. I'm going to have to disagree on this one, but it's not one that I want to disagree on because I kept saying all year, this is Baker's year. I did miss the Baker with 3,000 yards, but I did hit the 4,000 yards. I hit that, but I didn't hit the 30 touchdowns like Austin and I had said. So
you owe him 20 damn bucks. Close. Or was it 20 or 10? Was it
28?
20.
For the bet between you guys for the touchdowns. Was it $10 or
$20? I believe.
I said Baker 4,000 yards, 30 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, and I missed out on the touchdowns too.
By 2. Yeah.
But
it was very close. It was a very he's going to get re-signed. Austin, do you think he gets re-signed for his play? Again, top 10 across the board on the big important stats. I know you're not a Baker fan, but if we do player A, player B.
Unfortunately, I think he gets re-signed, even though I don't think he really deserves it. Because I don't think long-term he's the answer.
Okay.
I kind of agree with that. I think that's why I think he gets a similar contract to Geno Smith, like 3 years. So it's not a super long-term deal. They ride out the rest of, Mike Evans, Godwin, and their defense, and then that's when they commit to the rebuild, unless Baker's lighting the fucking league up over the next 3 years.
He's their stopgap.
Yeah,
they're going to draft a quarterback probably next year. Let that quarterback they draft sit out a year, and then let Baker ride off. I think Baker probably gets anywhere between 3 years. Gets like about 3 years. That's what I think he should get. And anywhere between 70 and 80 million is probably what he's going to get, if not more. I think he deserves.
I think he'll get around 25 million a year with incentives upward to probably 32, 33 a year.
I mean,
he deserves like 20.
I agree.
I mean,
how much of it is him and how much of it is Mike Evans? I'm not. Let's be real. I love Baker too. I will advocate for Baker, but at the same time, how much of it is Mike Evans?
I do have one question before we get out of here tonight. The Bears last year traded the number 1 overall pick to Carolina and got a buttload of picks and everything. Caleb Williams is coming up in this draft. So do they move on from Fields and draft Caleb Williams, or do they do what they did last year and say, hey, someone want Caleb Williams? Hey, Patriots. Hey, Arizona. Hey, Giants. Get out of Danny Dimes' deal. Titans. Will Levis ain't the answer. Hey, Falcons. Whoever.
I think
grab a first round and more first rounds in the future and trade out of this and try to grab a Marvin Harrison Jr. a couple picks later or an offensive lineman.
I don't think so. I think if you're the Bears, your defense that you put together on paper that was really good on paper to begin the season, they didn't play elite the first half of the season, but the second half of the season, they did. They finally meshed and figured each other out. They got a solid young defense. Next year, that defense is going to be top 5. And I hate saying that, but they're going to be on paper. I hate saying that because Austin's a fucking Chicago Bears fan outside of the Patriots. But Fields and Moore have a connection. They don't. Komet's good, but they don't have like a bona fide star anywhere else on the skill positions. Their offensive line, they finally got a stud. Trade that pick back. They had the 9th pick too. And so what? They miss out on Marvin Harrison Jr. You still have a shot at Neighbors. You still have a shot at Oduza. You still have a shot.
Both great.
You still have a shot at the other Washington wide receiver. You still have a shot at Xavier Worthy from Texas. Like you still have a shot at Keon Coleman from Florida State. Like you can
Brock Bowers if you want to have some help with Cole Kmet, one of the best tight end prospects in a minute.
Even though Komet's good, like look at the way like some of the best teams in the league go. Like, yeah, we have Sam Laporta in Detroit, but we run 3 tight end sets all the time. Like the Eagles, they run multiple tight ends. Like
if I'm the Bears,
I'm seeking the trade.
Realistically, right? Washington, unless the Bears get Washington to pull a fucking Bears from what? 4 years ago, 2018, when they traded up for Mitch Trubisky, right? I think it was 2018.
Yeah.
I believe it was 2018 where they traded up from 2-1 or 3-1. It was 2 or 3 they traded up from. If the Bears
it was
don't
3-2, wasn't it?
No, it was to 1, I thought. But anyways, they traded up. They traded a shit ton. The Bears gave up a lot to trade up 1 pick, right, to draft Mitch Trubisky.
Yeah.
Now, the Titans, who are at 7, I think they like Will Levis enough. But that's also going to heavily depend on what their next head coach wants. The Giants, I think, hold on. The Giants, I think, are too invested in Daniel Jones at this moment to draft a new quarterback.
No one's going to take on that contract.
And to give up the capital to trade that high. The Chargers, same thing. The Cardinals, okay, whatever. You don't got to whisper it like a fucking creeper. The Cardinals are the same way. They're too invested in Kyler Murray. The Patriots are an intriguing option right here. But again, it's going to heavily depend on for the Patriots at 3 and the Cardinals and the Commanders at 2. It's going to depend on what their next coach wants. However,
Mike Vrabel's going to be the coach. Calling it.
Gerard Mayo, I hope, is actually the coach.
He's
hold on. Let's talk about that after. After this, we'll talk about this after. But realistically, I would like to see the Bears trade down to, like, say, the Falcons at 8. I think that is their best bet to get the most.
And they have back-to-back picks then at 8 and 9.
At 9 and 8 and 9.
Grab yourself a Nabbers and then
another offensive lineman, and then
I think that's their best bet because I think for Washington or the Patriots at 2 and 3, well, specifically Washington, I don't know where.
What if they trade the first pick and say they, I don't know, go get another receiver like DJ Moore too, like not because they got DJ Moore in that package.
They could.
So I'm not saying they're going to get someone necessarily at the same like quality, but like you said, like Arizona's an intriguing spot. Go get fucking Hollywood Brown. He's on the market.
Ooh, no, I like the Falcons. Go get
Drake
London.
He's
Go grab Drake London.
He's still on a rookie deal.
Yeah, exactly.
So like Arthur Smith just got gone. The only team that they should the only person that team should be considering with a whole like management rehaul is Bijan. Start over in Atlanta. I'm sorry, Stuart, but Bijan stays. Everyone else needs to go. And
they need to move on from Kyle Pitts. If they can somehow convince Chicago to take the 8th pick, Kyle Pitts, and a second in the future for the number 1 overall, Atlanta needs to be jumping excited to move the fuck
then you get Caleb Williams, and then like Chicago can move Pitts to a fucking wideout. They don't even have to put him at tight end. Or run him in weird schemes to where he utilizes that speed.
Because whoever ends up with the number 1 pick, even if it is Chicago, I don't think Caleb Williams is the right pick at number 1. I don't think he's the best quarterback in the draft. To me, Drake May. I would take Drake May in a heartbeat. I would love the Patriots to take Drake May. I hope they're projected. The last mock draft I saw, they were projected to take Jaden Daniels from LSU.
That's who I would like to see with a new offensive coordinator and a new coach.
I would hate it.
What you can do with Jaden Daniels, go watch his highlight tape.
Okay. I
watch
agree
it.
that Jaden Daniels
He's gotten better
prospect.
every year.
I think Jaden Daniels is a better prospect, but the way that they play the game, New England does not have the offensive tools to make Jaden look good, in my opinion.
But he's going to be way more elusive and extend plays, and that's what a new, fresh head coach is going to need. Because remember, it's not Belichick. Yeah. Rest in peace, Belichick. He retired, not dead.
Well, he didn't retire. Him and the Patriots stepped away.
Yeah.
So that's why I say it depends on their new head coach, right? Because if new head coach can adapt the playbook the way Harbaugh has for Lamar Jackson, then Jaden Daniels will be phenomenal. Yeah. But you have to adapt for that kind of play.
Which is why I think I like what you said with OJ with Gerard Mayo. He's gonna come up. I think Vrabel and Mayo, I think, are gonna be the coach and assistant coach. That's my opinion. And they play smash mouth football. They have an understanding of the game, and I think, and that's the way the Ravens are built. They play smash mouth football on defense and with the run game, but get an elusive quarterback in there like Daniels.
But I mean, Vrabel never really had an elusive quarterback, right? So maybe he wanted to try one. But
yes,
with
why not?
Going back to Gerard Mayo, I think it's almost intriguing that he's the favorite to coach the Patriots.
Well, his contract kind of grandfathers him into the coaching position. It's weird. Have you ever read it?
Well, not just that, but Robert Kraft talked him out of putting his name in for the Panthers job, right? Because he had his name in the ring, then he pulled it out because he had to talk with Robert Kraft. So it's interesting if he actually becomes a head coach, because I think he might like an elusive quarterback, him and Vrabel, because Vrabel's never had that, but he's had that kind of offense that would thrive under it.
Bro, he had 3,800 passing yards, 40 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. That's a 10-1 in the SEC.
Here's another elusive quarterback that's not if he enters the draft right now, he's projected late first, early second, but he's projected like the 4th or 5th QB. But he's another elusive QB, JJ McCarthy.
Yeah,
I'd rather Jaden Daniels.
I would rather Jaden Daniels too. And I like McCarthy.
I do too, but I think McCarthy needs to stay in college one more year.
I think
he needs to prove that he can be the offense and not just rely on Corum in the offensive line.
Although this is a very good quarterback room for 6 good QBs: Williams, Drake May, McCarthy, Daniels, Penix, and Nix. It's actually a very solid class.
I think Caleb Williams is very talented. And Spencer Rattler still too. Don't forget about him. But
he messed up his chances by staying in college.
I think Caleb Williams has one of the top 2 individual in physical talents in this draft class, but he's got to check his ego at the door. He's not going to make it in the NFL.
Yeah,
he will not make it. It'll be done before it begins.
Yeah, he was saying he wants part of ownership.
Yeah, no one's
to get drafted.
If his
you're talking
agent
with
actually
billionaires,
if his agent makes him stand on that, he's not even going to get drafted.
Yeah, he'll find out quickly how billionaires play. Not a chance. Patrick Mahomes, in his most recent deal, didn't even get part of the ownership. He had to go buy the Kansas City Royals because he knew he wasn't going to get an NFL team.
Well, it's literally written in your contract. Players, if you're playing, you can't be an owner. That's why Brady couldn't be an owner until he retired.
Yep.
And it's not even because they don't want to give somebody that. They literally can't.
True.
So,
all right, Travis, now to you with the coaching that you wanted to talk about. They tried to talk about.
I'm cool with Vrabel or Gerard Mayo taking over for the Patriots. I think there's definitely some talent there on the Patriots, because obviously their defense is not the problem. They have a young, talented defense. They just unfortunately lost their 2 best young talents on defense early in the season. I think they come back. They have the defense. I mean, obviously you use some 2nd and 3rd round picks to add to that depth, but if you can get somebody who's more current with the offensive mindset, which I think that was Belichick, Carousel, Saban. That's hence why they're leaving. I mean, part of it's because they're in their 70s, but their offense, they still have the defensive mindset. Defense wins in general. As long as you know how to play defense, you can be in games. But at the same time, the offense has changed the way football is played now, and you need a fresh mind in there. And I think the Titans were dumb to fire Vrabel. honestly. I think he's the one coach that got fired and got let go this week that honestly shouldn't have. And I think the Titans are going to find out real quick that they're going to regret that, to be honest.
Yeah,
and
Vrabel shouldn't have gone.
Nope. He's a great coach. Very good coach. And
just like Pete Carroll, I don't think should have gone. And now he's going to be like an advisor.
Well, he just was done with head coaching.
Pete just kind of stepped down. He's just chilling. He didn't get fired. But
he kept saying that he was going to coach next year.
That's true. I want to know that conversation because he did say that he did verbally say he wanted to keep coaching.
He kept saying.
So I don't know if he kind of got forced out or if I don't know. But
I think they got forced out.
He might have
partially.
But
again, I mean, technically fired.
Never know. We'll never know.
Yep, we'll never know. But if
now, mind you, Carroll was the most successful in franchise history, going 137 to 89 to 1.
Yeah,
and they fired him. That's crazy to me.
I think they see a changing of the guard because outside of like JSN and Kenneth Walker and then Devin Witherspoon, the rest of their defenses, or like the rest of their teams, getting older and beat up.
Yeah,
I mean, and DK too, but DK's a guy that I can see. Like he's never truly pushed himself into the elite tier, so he's a guy that like when it comes time when he's 26, 27, I can see Seattle saying bye-bye.
Yeah, DK though too, unfortunately, is because of how not really unfortunately, but he is almost could have been the next Calvin Johnson because of his size and speed.
I was gonna say, like, I think people look at DK a little bit wrongly and expect too much of him because, like, I don't care what your physical attributes are. To expect somebody to come out and put the expectations to be Calvin Johnson or to be Randy Moss is absolutely absurd.
You're talking Hall of Fame.
I don't care who you are. Like that's because we're not talking about Hall of Fame. We're talking about Mount Rushmore wide receivers, not just Hall of Famers.
That's true. Both of them are on the top 4 of all.
Like, but I mean, has DK been a very good receiver since he's entered the league? Yes.
Yes.
But people look at that and say, "Oh, he's still not Calvin." Like, you can't knock him for that. Especially since I will say that Geno is nowhere near the caliber of quarterback Stafford is.
No.
So,
and plus, Calvin, not to knock Calvin or anything, but he didn't have a Tyler Lockett to compete with. Right?
And the reason I give Calvin so much flour, I think the reason Calvin got into the Hall of Fame on his first ballot with subpar career totals compared to some other wide receivers that aren't in yet is because I think it was like the first time in sports history that I think everyone took all of the context into consideration, and it blew my mind. I was like, wow, they actually did it right. Because he was like the only weapon on that team for his entire career.
Mm-hmm.
And he was double and triple teamed constantly, and just nobody could do a damn thing about it.
Yeah.
And so I think even the biggest Lions haters know that if Calvin played 15 years, he's top 3 in every single fucking wide receiver stat there is. And I don't think anyone would argue that.
Yeah, I wish he played his whole career.
But I don't know. We got off track a little bit, but
that's fine. But to talk about coaching again real quick, if the Raiders don't have Pierce be their head coach, it's
for the way he finished that season, like
massive disservice.
I don't know if he did enough to be the head coach because it's not his fault because the offense was kind of fucky this season. Like, that's not his fault. But he does know how, like, at the very least, that man's
he made Aiden O'Connell good.
I think Aiden O'Connell's actually better than you think.
I think he was already good.
Yes,
right?
I was actually high on Aiden O'Connell. But I do think that Pierce is a damn good defensive coordinator. I think he's going to get a head coaching stint, and then it's not going to work out after 4 or 5 years, and then he's going to go on and be a damn good defensive coordinator, a la Jim Schwartz, a la who's the guy in I'm not going to say DeMeco Ryans because he actually year 1 is actually holy shit. He put that narrative to bed. But like Jim Schwartz. And I think Antonio Pierce can be a damn good defensive coordinator because he had that defense playing lights out. Like when he took over, that defense went from like 23rd in the league to like 7th.
Yeah,
those aren't like accurate stats, but like roundabout.
I think based on just what the players have said since and how the team has played since, he deserves that shot
chance
and
least.
has earned that. So
the only way I see Pierce not getting that job is if Jim Harbaugh leaves Michigan. He said, like, the hint that Harbaugh said, he said he likes the sun and his favorite color is black. That's the only thing. If Harbaugh shows interest in the Raiders, I think that will be their first choice. But if Harbaugh stays at Michigan, then Pierce will get the job.
Maybe he goes to the Commanders. Is only like an hour from his brother.
Maybe. Now, real quick, I do want to bring it back to the playoffs because I wanted to read the comments since we were live. We had someone say the Steelers might be okay because they have depth at the outside linebacker. We know exactly who's leaving that comment. The Steelers, there's no... You know what? Austin might be right. We do see a lot of wonky shit in the playoffs, and it would be this game. Like, they clearly should not be in it because they're not even starting Kenny Pickett. They're starting Mitchell Trubisky. But we have seen wilder things happen. But then the next comment was Steelers first round exit. I agree with that. F Dallas, F the Rams. I agree. No, you don't F Stafford. I think Stafford has a chance to beat the Lions. So I just wanted to give those quick things. What are you guys' thoughts on, Steelers' depth?
Hold on. Before we end it, I want to talk about this parlay I've been cooking that I saw someone cooking. And I kind of like, it's kind of wild, kind of funny. But if it hits, it's a lot of money. Najee Harris, anytime touchdown. Najee Harris, 59.5 rushing over. Under 36, Bills, Steelers. Under 44, Eagles, Bucks. Over 50.5 attempts for Isaiah Pacheco.
Say 15.5 or 50.5 attempts?
15.
Oh, I was going to say 50. I was like, who the fuck
15
touches
attempts?
besides a quarterback?
Rushing attempts or like overall touches? Like,
no, Pacheco's been averaging more than 15 rushing attempts
15
for the
and a half.
season. Not just touches, rushing attempts.
He's averaging I believe 19.
Yeah, Kansas City's committed to Pacheco.
Well, yeah, I told you that when I traded him to you for Laporta. So thank you for the best young tight end in the NFL.
Thank you for the youngest running back in my roster in my dynasty league. I'll take it.
Yeah. Hey, no problem. You still did not win the championship.
I was about to say that. I have
Austin,
take Kittle. It's okay.
It's okay. I have Laporta and Trey McBride.
Okay. Yeah.
So, Austin, how does it feel? You can finally say you have a ring. You won a fantasy championship in our dynasty league. The third person ever to win. It was Brennan, then me, then you.
It only makes it sweeter that I was against Travis with how confident he was this year.
There he goes. He's sitting there screaming the F.
It only made it good. If it was against anyone else but Travis, it would have been okay. But since it was against Travis, it was amazing.
It was even better. Now,
because I have lost 3 championships.
Only because of how good it was against him.
LeBron.
That's why I changed my name to Aaron Rodgers, because I'm like 1-4 in meaningful games.
Yeah, dude. But real quick, Austin, you were talking about your bet, and you were saying something about Najee Harris rushing yards. How many was the over-under for that rushing line?
59.5.
Under.
Against the Bills.
Are you taking the over on that? Are you taking the under? I'm taking the under. Just look at it.
I haven't decided yet.
You ready?
On paper, and the way the Bills defense has been playing, I want to say under, but Najee's actually been playing pretty decent the last 4 or 5 weeks.
Yes, and that's it's the last 3 weeks specifically. Against the Bengals, 78 yards. Against the Seahawks, 122. Against the Ravens, 112. Mind you, the Ravens didn't have to play Lamar. They didn't even have to play anyone. So they're just like, here you go.
If the Steelers defense rustles the Bills' feathers on offense and this game's close, then Najee will have a game. If the game stays close enough where they can keep running the ball, then Najee will. I think Najee.
Did you know in the last? Okay, besides the last 3 weeks, there was only one other time that Najee Harris even touched 19 carries. Otherwise, it was against the Bengals, Seahawks, and Ravens the last 3 weeks. He only outdid 78 yards one time before December 23rd, and that was against the Bengals. Other than that, he was under 78 yards, and then specifically 50 yards. Let's count how many games he didn't even hit 50. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, he barely squeaked in on that one. 53, 5, 6, 7. 7 games this year where he didn't even hit 50.
Well, you got to think too that a lot of it was like, this is going to sound weird, but if there's ever been a time where I feel like, without saying it, that a team in major sports fed in to the audience and social media perception of what a team needs to do, I think the Steelers did it this year early on in the season. Everyone was saying before the season, like, Jalen Warren's the truth. Jalen Warren's the truth. I mean, he's a good player.
Yeah,
but,
I never believed that.
But I think that, mistakenly, the Steelers actually fed into that a little bit. And that affected some of Najee's stats earlier in the season. Not saying that he would have just been, like, rattling off 100-yard games left and right, but I think he could have had a better season.
He only hit 100 yards twice, and that was week 17 and 18. He literally hit 99. Otherwise, he never once hit 100 besides the last 2 games. That's it.
There was just an identity crisis in Pittsburgh leading into the season.
Big time.
I don't think they really truly started to, like, bury the hatchet with that until the last couple of weeks.
I mean, a lot of it has to do with Matt Canada, I think, too, as well. Because the offense under Matt Canada, until he got fired, was pretty stagnant. It was pretty ugly. It was pretty boring, and you could just tell what was happening, right? So I think that had to do a lot with it, because Najee, the running backs in general, were getting the carries at that moment. So
yeah, no, I can agree with that.
I think there's a potential I think he's probably going to get like 75-ish yards. So I might take the over, just barely though.
Hey, I don't blame you. Hey, don't worry. Derrick Henry might go to the Steelers next year.
No, I want Derrick Henry to go to the Ravens so bad.
I mean, he should go to the Ravens if he wants to compete, but definitely we could see him playing for the Steelers. Don't tell me that wouldn't surprise you.
I mean, I could see it, especially since he could probably get brought in for a friendlier deal than Najee's going to be looking for.
Yeah. Exactly. Just to let you guys know, J.J. Watt had another 19-sack season.
T.J. Watt.
Yeah. I said J.J., didn't I?
Wrong brother.
Yeah. Man, I missed J.J. Watt when he was dominant those 3-4 years in Houston.
Especially in Madden. God dang.
That was so nice.
Man, was scary.
But another 19-sack season, so the kid's on fire. All righty. Any last things we want to touch up before our next episode goes live?
Go Blue, baby.
Go Blue, baby. Go ahead, hit the like, subscribe, share, comment.
I'm not even a Georgia fan.
If you're watching live on the YouTube,
love you.
Go ahead and hit the subscribe and like. Share us on the Facebook. Hop in the Discord, the Sporting Lounge. Hop over to the YouTube, the Sporting Lounge podcast. Hop over to the Facebook, the Sporting Lounge. We want to hear from you guys. We want to talk to you guys. Interact. Have a good one.
Austin, we have the same look.
Yeah.